Hi there, it's Liz from Old Stables Crafts again, and we are now on, let's think, day 4 of the 12 tags of Christmas, and this is today's project. So it's a fairly plain, but I think really pretty tag. So that's what we are going to be making. So the supplies we need for this are garden green cardstock at 2 inches by 4 inches, that's 5 by 10 centimetres, a scrap of the same garden green, a scrap of very vanilla cardstock, and this is just for this bow, so I do mean a scrap, and again a scrap, and this really is a scrap, of the red glimmer paper, and that's for these berries here. So that's that. We will also need the scallop tag topper punch, the Project Life corner rounder, real red and garden green ink, Versamark ink, gold embossing, the natural trim ribbon, and then the all-important stamp set is the Hollyberry Happiness stamp set. This goes with, oh, and no, actually we need one more punch. We need the Hollyberry Builder Punch, which has the 2-size holly leaves. Let's see if you can see that. Yes, you can, just about. 2-sized holly leaves, the berries, and the bow. So I haven't really used this terribly much this year because I've been doing Cookie Cutter Christmas, which we will come do some Cookie Cutter Christmas later on, but I've been concentrating on that, so I haven't used this as much as I would have liked to, but it's a nice stamp set actually. I really didn't sort of look at it properly until I was planning this series, so it's nice to have the opportunity to use it. So right, let's get started. Quick reminder that this should be Sunday the 12th. Tomorrow is the last day that Stampin' Up will guarantee Christmas deliveries. So do remember, if you need to put in any orders for Christmas gifts, I would think today is probably the day to do it rather than leaving it to the last minute, so that you're not in with everybody else leaving it to the last minute. And of course I would be delighted if you chose to order through my online store. The link to that is below. And also don't worry about measurements for this project, because the link to the associated blog post is also in the information below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're on the blog, well then you've got the measurements already, and there's a link to my shop there too. So enough of all that, let's get on with the project. So I'm actually going to do some stamping first, and I'll explain the reason for that as we do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp the red for the bow, and the reason I'm doing that first is because I'm then going to emboss over the top, so I want that ink to be well and truly dry when I come to do the heat embossing. So I need the solid bow stamp first. We'll pop that on a block, and the real red ink, and gentle tapping, and then I'm going to put this down to one side actually, so that I don't end up punching out too much wastage. So that's that. So as I say, we'll put that to one side, and then that can be drying whilst we're doing the other bits. We don't need this anymore, so I'll pop that to one side. So next I will do the stamping for this background. So let's get this made into a label, or a tag rather. So you've seen me do this before, straight into the punch. You can see from the back that it's in there properly, straight down, and there we are, that's that done. Get rid of those pieces. Corner rounder, and again you'll know by now I like to do this from the back so that I can see that the corner is properly in. So that's those done, don't need that anymore. I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap for two reasons actually. A, because I'm going to be stamping over the edge, but also, if you've not seen these before, these are our grid pads, which are hidden in the accessories section of the annual catalogue. And what's really nice is because they've got measurements on, they've got inches across one side, and on the other side they've got centimetres. So whether you're an imperial or a metric person, you can have measurements that suit you. So Stampin' Up have thought of it again. So for this, we're going to be using this, easier to see here, this collection of holly leaves. Pop that on a block. And this is garden green cardstock, so we're going tone on tone with the garden green ink. And light taps, make sure it's well inked on the block as well, perhaps not. Just be careful that if you do that, you don't get it on parts of the project you don't want. I'm actually going to start, make sure you can see this, yes you can, start at the bottom here and just come straight up, and then come in from the side. All I'm doing is filling the background with the holly image. I don't want too much of the stalk, because the stalk really isn't the most interesting part of the stamp for this. Now you could do this before you punch the tag out, but I think it's quite nice to know where the top and the bottom actually are. And the sides. And there we are. And pop that over to be cleaned. Close this up because we don't need it again, and as ever I don't want to put my hand in it. So there we are, and that's, you can see why we've got the scrap behind. So that's that done. Get rid of that. Right, so now we need to, well actually let's do the berries first. So this is our builder punch. This really is a scrap. It's actually from one of the projects we're doing later in the week. Now, I find with anything that's darker, if it's got a lighter side, it's actually easier to see if you come in from the back. And I did test this out. One of these corners will, yes, there we are. So you can see, I can see that I've got 3 berries and the single berry. Oh, particularly if it doesn't move when I punch. There we are. And just punch those out, and there we are, those are nicely punched out. So those we are going to build, so I will get a mini dot now and just pop that on there, and just, I think we'll do it that way up, just have it so that it's off to one side, and it's probably not terribly easy to see close on camera, but you can, when you're close to, you can see that it is separate. What you could do if you wanted is put 2 mini dots on the back, just to give it a bit more lift. So those are those 2 bits. Now let's do some embossing for the holly berries. I'm going to use my embossing buddy because I don't want embossing powder in the wrong place. So I want both the large and the small hollyberry outlines for that. We'll start with the large. We only need 1 large. So Versamark ink. Now generally for the photopolymer stamps, sorry, my brain went dead there, I would always recommend using the piercing mat, but because we've got this wodge of paper underneath, it's not quite so bad. But the photopolymer don't have the cushion backing that the clear mount and the wood mount stamps have, so they do need a bit of give, so that they are... my brain really isn't working today, so they stamp properly. Now, I am going to do this. There is actually a right way up and a wrong way up on the punch. It's really easy to see here. This is slightly bigger, and the stamp is slightly bigger on one side than the other. So because we're coming in from the top, we need to make sure that we take that into account. So I want the smaller end, which is where there is less pattern. I want that at the bottom. So let's pop that there. And there you can see that. Let's take that off. Clean that in a minute. And then with the smaller one, this doesn't seem to have the same right way up and wrong way up. Or if it is, it's less definite. So those, because I'm coming in from the side, I will do over here. So that's those done. Get rid of that. Right, gold embossing powder. And you'll have seen me yesterday on day 3. I showed you how to use a post-it note if you've got a very small piece of card that you're using, how to use a post-it note to get that into the punch. So you don't actually need something quite this large, but I just happen to have that as a scrap. So that's that. Let's get the heat tool and warm that up. So noise warning. Okay. And you want to be about 2 inches away. If you get too close, then it can burn, and then you'll see it suddenly turn from the dull powder to the lovely gold impression. And once it's done, just make sure that once it's done, stop, because you can burn the embossing powder. Pop that down again, and in we come. We'll do the big one first. In fact, what I'm going to do is just to show you that you can use the tiny scraps, and also so that I don't waste that piece, which could be used for something else. Not that I'm a thrifty crafter, you understand. So in from the top, line it up, and one holly leaf, and then in from the side, and line up one. And having said I'm a thrifty crafter, I'm now going to punch through a lot of unused card, but never mind. Don't need that. So we've got that one, and that one. These bits are scrap. So pop those to one side. Now let's bring back in our bow, which should be dry now. But just in case, there is on the heat embossing tool, you will see that there are 2 heat settings. So we use 2 for the heat embossing, and 1 is really just for drying. So just to make absolutely sure that that is dry, I'm just going to waft that. And now this is where we hope that I can get things properly lined up. Get those stamps off. We need, in here, I've got them out already, we need our outline stamp and the Versamark again. is the last time we need that. Okay, so this is where you need to be steady-handed and have faith that you can do this. You can see through, so I think I might be there or thereabouts. And yes, I think that's going to be all right. In fact, yes, now I can see it a bit better it is. So the gold embossing powder again. Of course, what I should have done is put the embossing buddy over that, but I think I've got away with it. I should particularly have put the embossing buddy over it, bearing in mind I've just stamped. However, I think I've got away with it, particularly as it's going to be punched out. So, heat gun on again. Right, okay. Punch, I'll just waft that a bit to make sure that it's properly set. Then in from the side, line it up, and punch. Don't need those bits, so that's our bow. So apart from one little bit there, which we could have done without, that's fine. So we've got our tag, we've got our holly berries, we've got our leaves, and we've got our bow. I'm going to give these a bit of a shape. Just we're going to stick the plainer end, but just shape these a little, just to give them a bit of dimension. And then you can really use any glue with these, or probably the best thing to use is, purely because it's easier to control, will be glue dots. So I'm going to put a glue dot on the back of the big leaf, and then put the smaller leaves, preferably the right way up, or in this case the wrong way up, onto that glue dot. So there are those, and there's a bit of wiggle room with glue dots. Then another glue dot, oops, another glue dot on the back, and then sort of in the middle, and then we'll put our dimensional on the back. And this is the perfect time for these little part bits at the side, so we'll have a couple of those. Just pop them on the back here. Then use that to cover the bottom of the holly, and then another glue dot. Can't see them for looking, knew they were on my desk somewhere. I seem to have managed, I'm just trying to use up, I managed to pull off the tail when there was still some glue dots on the outside, so I'm just making sure I haven't got any more rogue glue dots on the outside. So glue dot there, and then pop that in there. So just need a piece of ribbon, and so this is the Natural Trim gold ribbon, and in from the back. Oh, all fingers and thumbs this morning. And it is just still morning. I'm trying to do lots of filming in advance of the weekend so that this all goes out for you preparation for the weekend. I've got quite a busy social weekend coming up, so I want to get it all done in advance. And there you are. So, two tags. I say all the information will be in the associated link, associated blog post, and there's a link to that down below. Link to my store. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe to my channel to see the remainder of these and future projects, then please do so. The subscribe button is in the usual place. Have a look at my blog. If you want to buy anything, I would be absolutely delighted for you to become a customer. I do send out thank you gifts to customers. So I do try and treat my customers as very special people, because you are very special to me. You are what makes this possible for me, so thank you for that. And just another reminder, the last shopping day for Stampin' Up goodies is tomorrow, the 13th of December. So, as I say, my recommendation is that you get your shopping done early. Thank you very much, and I will see you again tomorrow.